Hey, what's cracking? How are you doing today? Hope this video finds you doing well. I hope that everything, my friend, is going your way. But if it isn't, maybe by the end of the video, you'll realize your life isn't as bad as you think it is. Maybe it could be a lot worse. I want to thank you for clicking on the video. If it's the first time you've ever watched, my name is Ricky Dye, and I went to prison when I was 15 years old in the state of Oklahoma. Me and a 14-year-old and 16-year-old, we were running away from home, upset, going through things, and we were going to run away from home. And we were going to rob a store for money to get away. And the clerk ended up getting killed. The 14-year-old shot him accidentally, and we ended up going to prison for murder. The 16-year-old, he was the oldest. He turned state. He ended up getting his crime dropped to attempted robbery by force and fear. If you Google Ricky Dye, McLeod, Oklahoma, will be the first thing that comes up. But that's what the news said. If you want the real story, you have to watch my videos. I can't do anything to change all the mistakes that I've made through the years, what I did to go to prison or what I did to keep me there. But what I can do is try to tell others about the mistakes I made and what I went through to maybe save someone else from making the same mistake I did. And that's what my videos are all about. And you'll enjoy them the best if you'll go back and start them at the beginning, because they're like a series. I started at the beginning with what happened, what led me to do what I did, and what happened afterwards, how I ended up in prison instead of in juvie hall somewhere. And you understand all that if you watch them from the first. On the first 5 videos, I didn't have very good sound. I didn't have good equipment. I did get them fixed later with better audio. So if you'll look through later in the videos, you can find those first 5, and it'll say with fixed sound in the title. But after that, the videos start to get a little better. If I make some mistakes, know that I don't edit my videos. I just sit here and talk like I would if I was talking to my nephew. And so my videos are meant to be personal. I make a lot of friends through my videos, and they reach out to me, and I chat with them on Messenger. I even do phone calls with people. So if that's something you're interested in, hit that subscribe button, get in the comments, shoot me a friend request through the link in the description on Facebook. Hit me up in Messenger, and maybe me and you can chat a bit. But today I wanted to get back to my story, and I have some other things I want to talk about at the end. But I've found that it's important to get people's attention at the beginning. So I'm going to jump right back to my story. And if you've been keeping up with me, I'm at Hinton. And when I'm getting to now, I've been there for about 7 years. I was there 8 years altogether. But where I'm at today in the story, I've been there about 7 years. And I've been doing all kinds of things to get myself in trouble. I've been involved in stabbings. I've talked about it in the recent videos. If you haven't watched them, they've had me locked in a cell in medical, pooping in a bag. I've been doing all kinds of things. They've been searching my visitors when they come in, trying to catch them bringing in drugs. Dry selling me coming out of visit. Like I said, making me poop in that bag. They're trying everything they can to catch me, and they can't catch me. And so this guy that is the head of investigations, he's like the chief of security, but his job is the investigator. He's the head investigator at the prison. It's his job to stop things from coming into prison one way or another, catching guards, inmates, however it may come. He's over all of it. So he's got a hard on for me, and he brings me down and tells me that he said, I was in the master control watching you on a camera while you were in visit. He said, I even had some people sitting in the visiting room training to be officers that were dressed like they were visiting somebody, but they were watching you, and they couldn't figure out how you're getting this stuff in. I've put you in a dry cell, made you poop in a bag, and you still, I can't catch you. So I'll give you credit. You're slick. But I know what I can do to stop you is I'll just keep you out of that visiting room. I'll just keep you on level 1. And so I ended up in jail, and I talked about an officer coming and getting me out of jail to go back to work in the kitchen in the staff dining room to make the trays for the staff. So I'm there, and I'm doing my job, and I got a visit coming up with my mother. It's Mother's Day coming up. And I go and I have a guy make her a jewelry box out of craft sticks, and real pretty, and it was painted white. And on the top of it was mounted a rose. And they make these roses in prison, and they make them out of glue that you can buy out of the craft section in the canteen, and out of bread. And they make a mixture of this glue and bread, and they make these real pretty roses, and they paint them to make the stems green and the rose red or pink or yellow. This one was red in this case. And then it was waxed and real shiny, and so was the box waxed and on top. And I went down and filled out a form and requested staff to have when I came and visited my mother, for when she left, she could pick it up and take it home with her for Mother's Day. And so I went down and visited her, and I had it down there, and I told her it was there to pick it up, make sure she got it when she left. And when I called home to see if she got it a couple days later, she didn't. They didn't give it to her. So I went to find out why they didn't give it to her, and they told me it was contraband. And I couldn't figure out why in the world it would be contraband. And then they call me down to investigations where Branham works. It's where his office is at. But they call you down there if you get a write-up. They call me down there and give me a write-up, a Class B write-up. Now, and when you get write-ups in prison, there's stages of write-ups. If you go and stab someone, if you get caught with a knife, if you hit a guard, that's a Class X write-up. It doesn't fall off of you for 2 years. You can lose a year of good time, and you can do 30 days in DU. If you get a Class A write-up, that's something less serious, maybe a fist fight, some kind of contraband, something that they don't deem as serious. You might get a Class A write-up, and it only loses 185 days good time, and you can only do 15 days or 20 days in DU. Class B write-up doesn't even carry DU time, but it does drop you to level 1, so you can't go to visit. It's the least severe, and it is basically a slap on the wrist, but it keeps you from going to visit, and it puts you on level 1 for at least a month. So for a month, you can't visit no one. So instead of my mom getting my gift for Mother's Day, I got slapped to level 1 where I can't visit, just like he told me they were going to do. So I want to know, what is this contraband about it? So what ended up being contraband was the stem. The guy that had made the stem, it was a piece of wire that came out of a light. Someone had destroyed a light. So Branham mouths off as he hears me in there. I'm mad. I'm talking shit as they're giving me this write-up, and his office is right there. And he said, I told you I'd get you. And I said, really, dude, on Mother's Day, what was wrong with it? And he said, the wire in there came out of a light. I could have gave you a Class X for destroying state property. He said, but when we shook your cell down, your light wasn't tore up. So he had sent them to shake my cell down right after visit. But I thought it was because I went to visit and they were seeing if I had drugs. But they were looking to see if my light was tore up. And he smirks. He starts laughing. And it made me so mad that this guy just took my level, took away the good days I would have got for this month. Now I can't see my mom for a month. Took away her Mother's Day gift. I bought that from someone. I didn't tear anything up. I did it right. I put in a request staff for her to pick it up. I didn't know there was wire in there. And it made me really mad. And I told him, I said, you think it's funny right now, but it won't be so fucking funny whenever one of my brothers pulls up on you in a parking lot. You might be something in here, but you ain't shit when you walk out of them doors. Wait till my brothers walk up on you. We'll see if it's fucking funny then. Immediately he called for help, and they come, lock me up, handcuff me, and take me to jail. And wrote me up for menacing a staff. It's a Class X write-up now. Now, usually when you threaten a staff, you immediately get shipped. Okay, and I didn't even think about the fact that I was threatening him. I was just mad at the time, and things that you think it should keep in your head when you're mad, I let that shit just come right out of my mouth because I was pissed off, and I didn't care about the consequences. I didn't think I was ever going to go home. I didn't have any hope of going home. This was my life, and I felt like he was taking everything from me. But usually they will sign a separatese on you when they write you up for menacing. It's a requirement. If you're going to write someone up for threatening you, that you sign a separatese on them. But, and I'm not saying all SORT teams are like this. Okay, now every prison has what's called a CERT team or a SORT team. These are the guys, if you go to Raising Hell, if you try to fight the guards, they're going to get a shield, an electric shield sometimes. They're going to have helmets. They're going to have pads, sticks, and some gas. And they're going to come in there, pepper spray, and they're going to rough you up and get you down and cuff you up. They got somewhere for you. No matter how tough you think you are, they got somewhere for you, man. 5 or 6 of these guys come in, they'll rough you up real good, and they'll take you and throw you in a cell somewhere with nothing but your underwear and a mat about that thin and a Bible, and that'll be all you have for a long freaking time, dude. You eat what they bring you or starve. And so they got somewhere for the tough guys. I assure you, there's somewhere for you no matter how tough you think you are. And no matter how rough you think you are, there's always another guy that can tap you out, man. That can, if you don't tap out, you'll black out. Because there's always someone out there for you, no matter how rough you think you are. So you don't really want to go down the I'm tough road. There's somewhere for the tough guys. So they take me down there, but this SORT team in particular. Now, I'm not saying a lot of them aren't professional. A lot of them are professional and they do their jobs, and there's nothing personal in it. And anyone who's watched my videos, you know there's nothing personal in it for me. Like, I respect the officers. I respect the police. Somebody has to go in there and do time. Those officers, DOC officers, they're doing time on the installment plan, man. They're there at the prison just like you are for 8, 10, 12 hours a day. Maybe they are in the different role, but they can't leave, and they're in that prison just like you are. So they're doing time, just not quite the same way you are. They do get to go home. But shout out to them for doing a job no one else wants to do, man. If you're a crook and you want to hurt people and beat people up, I don't want you around my mom. I'm glad somebody's keeping your ass locked up till you get a better way of thinking. So the police have to exist. If you come mess with me, I'm not calling the police. You're gonna have to deal with me. But if you go mess with my wife or my mom or one of the girls in my family, I want to be able to call the police on your ass, and I want them to take care of you. So I have nothing against the police or officers. They're doing their job, and shout out to them for doing it, man. So for me, if I do something wrong, I know I'm doing something wrong. And if you catch me, then I just lost that round. For me, it was just part of the game. I knew when I was doing it that there's a chance you was going to catch me. I expect you to try to catch me. So how am I going to get mad when you do? But these guys on this sort team, they did take things personal, and they have a little workout area. They took our free weights away. We have free weights out in the yard. Someone snuck a nickel in and hit someone in the head. So they took our free weights away and they put them in a building and gave them to the officers for them to use when they get off work and stuff. And there's a group of them. They're on sort team, and they're all going and working out over here all the time together. And they all got this bad boy attitude. They all start thinking they're tough and shit. They're walking around the prison like they're the tough guys. Not the guys in prison are tough, but they're the tough guys, you know. And they look forward to when someone rears up so they can run in there and rough you up. They look forward to that shit. They talk about it when they do it. That's the highlight of their life. And this guy's one of those. And they refused to sign separatees on people. So he would write me up for menacing, but he wouldn't sign separatees on me because he wouldn't admit. Basically, just like when we're in prison, we refuse to sign a separatees on somebody. That makes us a rat and a coward. Well, they were taking the same attitude. They were going to file separatees on no one either. They're tough guys. So he wouldn't sign a separatees on me. So it made the write-up not stick. But by now I've got mad, and I threw my shit out on the run, and they fed me the loaf. And if you don't know anything about the loaf, they take some bread, some dough, they spread it out in the chow hall, whatever they have for chow. They take your tray and dump it in the middle of that bread, roll it up, put it in the oven until it turns brown, and that's your tray. And I got put on the loaf, and I've said before, the only thing I thought I could eat was pancakes. We had pancakes, oatmeal, and applesauce. And I thought, man, that surely I can eat that one, right? But man, the applesauce, it ruins it, man. The dough and oh my God, it's terrible. So you just have to starve, man, till you get off the loaf. You're usually on it for 3 days. So now I've got down there, and I've got 30 days for throwing my tray on the run, and 15 days for cussing someone out, and I had 30 days for threatening Brandon, but that write-up failed because he didn't sign separatees on me. But he put in for me to be shipped. So that's how I ended up spending 264 days in lockup. It started off with that Class B write-up. Wasn't even going to go to jail for it, but I threatened him. So I ended up in jail. And I did 30 days on that before I ever beat it on appeal. They found me guilty first. Gave me 30 days DU. Okay? So I'm doing this 30 days DU, and during that time, I picked up another 30 for throwing my tray on the run, refusing to sell partner. So I decide, if you're going to lock me in this little bitty cell, it's a 2-man cell. It's very small. And if you're locked in there with someone, usually you get to go outside. When you're in solitary confinement, they offer you to go outside into another little cage. It's just a cage a little bigger than your cell. And it has chain link fence like chicken wire on the top of it where you can see the sky. But that's it. They are obligated to take you out there and let you see the sky, basically. You're not getting no more exercise than you get in your cell. And usually when you go out there, you have to go through getting shackled up, you get a belly chain on you, you get handcuffs on you. And you go through all that just to go out into a little bigger area. And while you're doing it, they usually tear your cell up. And if you've got, so when you go to DU, you don't get your own underwear and stuff. They give you a pair of underwear when you go take a shower. Monday, you get 3 showers a week. And when you go, they give you a pair of boxers when you go. You're supposed to get 3 a week, but they always say, whether it comes to exercise or whether it's a shower, they always say, if there are available staff. Meaning if they have an extra staff member that day to go down there and sit with a guy that's running DU, so then they can give you a shower or walk you to rec, because it has to be 2 officers anytime you're out of your cell. So if they don't have a second officer, you don't get it that day. So in reality, out of that 5 days, you're supposed to get rec every week. You usually get about 3. But if you go, they're going to tear your cell up, and you don't really have no more room. Plus, you got to get shackled up, go through all the trouble. So most people don't go to rec because you don't get to go to rec with anyone else when you're in solitary, just by yourself or with your cell partner. And usually they'll put 2 people to a cell. They only have 18 cells down there, so they can only hold 36 people in DU at a time. And that's not that many when you have a yard with over 1,000 people. I think it's around 1,200 to 1,500 people there. So there's a lot of people, and people get write-ups and get DU time. And if it's not a serious write-up, a lot of times they'll put them on a waiting list to go to DU when they get space down there. So when you're going to be in that cell all the time like that, and you have a lot of days to do, you don't want to smell someone else take a shit all the time, man. And just, I'll be honest with you, man, after being in prison so long, I have a hard time getting along with people. And like, it's hard enough for me and my wife have arguments, and we have this whole house and we can walk outside. Like, but when you're in a little bitty room with someone 24 hours a day, basically, you do get like 15 minutes for a shower all together, but you're only in that shower like 7 minutes, and they'll turn the water off, and you have soap all over you, and you won't even be done. And so you got to hurry. You get like 5 minutes to shower if you want to get the soap off of you. And that's only if they have time. So usually in my cell, I'm going to get to that, how I take a bath. But I get down there. I ended up with a lot of days. So there's 3 different ways you can be in lockup. So you can either be down there on investigation, which means they can just come and pull you off the yard for anything, take you down there and put you in the hole for up to 14 business days and not tell you anything at all. Not to tell you why you're in there, nothing. And let me tell you that when you're out here in the world, you go to jail. When you're in prison, you go to lockup. And it's almost the same. It disrupts your life completely. If you've got a job you're going to and people that you're around all the time, and they pull you up and put you in lockup, when you get out, you're put somewhere else. You got to get a different job. It disrupts everything. And but to take you down there, just throw you in a room and not tell you nothing for basically 3 weeks if you figure out business days. You're just down there and tell you shit. And at the end of 14 business days, they have to bring you a misconduct. And then once they bring you a misconduct, they have to take you to court within 3 days. And then they enforce that. So if you do 14 working days first, you could do up to like 20 days, depending on how the days fall. Then 3 more, 23 more. Then you get 30 days DU. You do another 50-some days on a 30-day write-up. Okay. Now, the other way you can be, besides doing disciplinary segregation, which is paying for whatever you've done wrong, your time in DU, also you can be on transit detention. Transit detention you can be on indefinitely. Put you back there and say, we're shipping you. You're on transit. Now there's no limit to how long you can be back here. And that's what happened to me. So they put me on, after all this DU time, I ended up doing like 70, 75 days, and they put me on transit, say, we're going to ship you away. And they put in your papers, and usually when they put your papers in, it takes between 2 and 3 months, 60 to 90 days, for DOC to process your papers and send you to another bed. So I've done 70 some days, 75 I think, when they put it in around there, and then another between 60 and 90 waiting on the paperwork to come through. All this time it's down there by myself. The first month, when you first get in there, no matter who you are, when they first put you in that cell, you look around this little bitty cell and these concrete walls, man, you're like, you get this claustrophobic feeling that you can't escape. And I mean, you feel like you'll lose your mind. You start worrying about all kinds of irrational thoughts, like, what if a world war starts? What are they going to do? Someone attacks this country. What if this happens? What if that happens? What if they just leave you down here? If there's a war, are they going to come down here and shoot me? Are they going to gas us? What? Even if they don't gas us, if I was able to survive the gas some way, is how would I get out of the cell? I can't get out of the cell. So you're really locked in, and it could be terrifying if you let your mind get away with you. And when I first get down there, the first few days are really rough, man. Your mind, you just want out of this cell. You just want out of here. You just want out of here. But after a few days down there, you start to settle in. And a lot of guys, they'll just try to lay there. A lot of guys don't even read books. They just lay there. And those guys have a really hard time, and they end up on some kind of medicine to help them. But what you have to do is get a routine. And so what I would do is, my mom, bless her heart, thank her so much, she would try to send me a little letter every day so that when they come around and mail, I would get a letter. It might say one line. Don't know what to say. Just let you know all is well and I love you so very, very much. Mom. That might be it. But I was something to look forward to. And she bought me the USA Today, a subscription to the USA Today, and she brought me a subscription to uh, the Daily Oklahoman. And so that every day I got mail. Every day I got some kind of mail. And so I would get up in the morning when they have breakfast, and I would eat my breakfast, and I would save a little something off my tray, maybe the biscuit. Maybe I would have to save my bread at lunch. But you got to save something off your tray because there's no snacks. Like I was in there 264 days altogether. There's no way to snack or anything. You just get what's on your tray, and if it's bad, it's just terrible, man. And when you first get in there, you're starving all the time. You're always hungry. Like I went to bed a lot of nights with a headache because I was just hungry, man. Drink as much water as you can. Just can't quit thinking about food, man. And then morning comes breakfast, it's some small thing, and you eat everything on there, and you're still hungry. And at lunch, but eventually, after a week or so, your body adjusts, and it starts to be enough to fill you up. But you need to save something off of each tray, some little something off each tray for at night before you go to bed, so you have something in the evening. And after breakfast, try to stay up during the days. You want to get up when they have breakfast and stay up so that you're not up too late after dinner before you can go to sleep. You don't want to stay up all night and be asleep during the day and not eat everything on your tray and then be hungry all night, starve to death. I did some of my time like that, and it's terrible because you're asleep when your tray gets there. You don't really feel like eating, so you eat a little. None of it looks good, so you don't eat that much. But then you're up all night and you're starving to death and would have ate everything on there. So you want to stay up at breakfast when you get up. So I'll get up in the morning, and that's when I do my exercise. I don't go out on the rec yard. And one day I'm going to do a series on the exercises I would do in the cell. And my exercise would take me about an hour and a half, 2 hours. I would spend exercising in the morning. And then afterwards, when we go to shower, they give you a new towel every time, a new pair of boxers every time. So what I do right off the bat is I go to the shower when I don't have anything for them to take out of my cell. Instead of throwing my dirty boxers and my towel in the dirty clothes, I'll wash them, that towel and that pair of boxers, while I'm in the shower. And then I'll put them on underneath my clean ones and put that wet towel underneath my new towel and wear it all back. So I have that extra towel and an extra pair of boxers. And then I'll plug up my sink, take a bath right there, a whore bath right there in my sink. And I have an extra pair of boxers and an extra towel. And try to get one more extra towel usually, and end up with one more extra towel doing the same thing, and clean the floor up with it. You know, have one that, because water gets all on the floor. You stand over the toilet to rinse off. You fill your little cup up, styrofoam cup, and pour it over yourself. Most of the water fall on the toilet. What don't you have to clean up off the floor? So I kept my floor clean as it can be, just as clean as you can. You can eat off that floor because I lay on that floor and do exercises every morning. And that's another reason I don't want a cell partner, because I have my routine. I do my exercises, and this guy, I don't want him all on the floor and stuff, because I lay down there and exercise every day. I do better by myself than I would with one person if I can't get along with him. Now, if it's someone that I could get along with, a good friend of mine, yeah, I'd like to have the company. But usually they're just going to throw whoever in there with you. So I'll tell them, man, you're not putting no one in this cell. You're not putting no one in this cell. I'll tell them, if you come up in the cell, man, we're fighting, and I'm taking off on you before you get your cuffs off. So I don't allow no fuck. I'll be by myself. If I'm going to have to do it anyway, I'll be by myself. So after 90 days, if you're down there 90 days, so let me finish. So after I exercise in the morning and take my bath, then lunch will come, and I'll be real hungry, and I'll eat all my lunch, save a little something for at night. After lunch, I sit down and read my Bible. During that 264 days, I read that Bible from cover to cover. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot from reading that Bible. Regardless of what you think, you read that Bible, you will learn some lessons, regardless of what you think about religion. I read the Hobbit trilogy twice. I read S.E. Hinton, The Outsiders, 3 times. During that time, I was just a book sponge. After lunch, I would read my Bible and do me a little Bible study, and then I would read my book, whatever book I was on. Every week, you can put in a request to staff to get, I think, 2 or 3 books. I used to know that exactly. I think it's 2. You can get other people to get books for you, because a lot of people don't read. You can ask them to write, hey, would you put in a request staff for science fiction, or would you put in a request staff for Stephen King? I got on a Stephen King kick. I was going to read all his books, and I read most of them during that time. So they tell me they're going to ship me, and then they come back after about 150 days or so, and tell me that my paperwork was denied because Brandon went and signed a separate. And they put it in all over again and made me start over. And so I had another 60 to 90 days to go after I had put that 150 in. And at 90 days, once you've been in lockup and solitary confinement for 90 days, they have to send a psychiatrist to see you every 30 days to make sure that you haven't lost your mind. So they start sending this psychiatrist down there to see me at 90 days. And that first time they came, I was thinking, I wonder if I act like this is making me crazy, what they'll do. Is it going to make them ship me faster, get me on out of here? I want to see. So I went to playing this little game. Like I kept my light off all the time. And when the guards would come down, instead of sitting on my bunk or laying on my butt, I'd be over squatted down in the corner. I was acting like it was driving me crazy, like I was weird. And I kept the light off all the time. You could turn your light on and off in the cell till 11, and then they turn it off for all night till 6 in the morning. So if you want to read at night, you got a little bean hole in your door where they slide your tray through. There's a little crack there, and a little bit of light will shine through. And you have to get your mattress and get down there on the floor and read through that crack. And that's probably why my eyes aren't that good anymore. I read a lot of books by that crack when I couldn't sleep at night. But you have the craziest thoughts, man. And in 264 days in lockup, you wonder if the world's forgot about you. And at the end of all that, they turned down my transfer again. They said I had been there for 7 years. There had been no reason to before. This guy wouldn't sign a separate on me, and they felt like they should be able to hold me where I was at. So unless there was a more serious reason, or Brandon would sign a separate, they were going to leave me there on that yard. So they come and tell me they're putting me back on the yard. And I've got to tell you that after being alone that long, I was scared to go back to the yard. I've never admitted that before. But it was as scary to go back to the yard to me as it was when I went to prison or when I went to McAllister. Every time that you start to go somewhere new, you have that same feeling of what is it going to be like? Am I going to be all right? And in 264 days, the whole yard had turned over. There people had left, new people had come in. I didn't know what it would be like. And you imagine things in your mind that will never happen. I imagine me getting into it with people that I never got into it with before. Just scenarios that could happen in my mind. Things that never happened would never happen. I got out and I see some of these people and they run up and give me a hug and, hey man, glad to see you out. And that worry goes away. And before that, even though this guy had been my friend, I'm thinking in my mind, is there a problem there? And I think it was just from being down there alone so long with no one to talk to. So, yeah, that wasn't very fun. That wasn't a very exciting story, was it? And the things about prison that are the worst aren't very exciting at all. You do have your fights and stuff, but the worst thing is just the people you lose and the time you lose. And damn, man, just being trapped in a little bitty room you can't get out of, man. I just can't explain to you what that feels like, to be locked in a little room for 264 days by yourself. I'm sure it affected me. I'm sure it did in a lot of ways. There were some positives to it, as there is to anything, but I don't think it's good to put people by themselves for that long. I want to give a few shout outs in the video before I end it. Shout out to Mid-America Construction for all your construction needs all over the United States. Dude supported the channel in a major ways, helped me get my shirts going for the first time. I'm waiting on them. They're ordered. You guys will get them in the mail as soon as I do. I want to give a shout out to my homeboys down there in Idabel, Oklahoma, John Doe and Joe Norris. Tell them I'd give them a shout out. Thank you guys for watching. Appreciate your support. I want to give out a shout out to my partner Brandon Bonds. He's a Vietnam, not a Vietnam, but he is a veteran. He did 8 years in the military, and he suffers from post-traumatic stress. And it's taken a long time for him to get the nerve up, but he wants to try to help other people who are suffering from the same thing he is. He is a real good guy. He supports the channel. I want to support him, and I appreciate it if you go over and give him a subscribe and a view. His name is Brandon Bonds, and his description, his link will be in the description. Please follow that and give that guy a subscribe. Check out what he's talking about. He is a really good guy. Any support you give to those people, I really appreciate. And as always, baby, shout out to the riders and dyers, the riders who ride till the wheels fall off and the dyers keep riding even when they do. Thank you guys. Love you the most. Always. And Apologize for not putting this video up over the weekend like I said I would. I had some stitches pop and it was not fun. I'm not going into details, but I was not able to smile. And if I can't smile for you, baby, I just wait. So thank you for viewing the videos today. If it's the first time you've watched, man, give me a subscribe. Hit that like button. I really appreciate it. Hope to see you guys in the next video. I'll try to get one up in about 3 days. Till then, may God bless, keep and protect each and every one of you and yours. Peace out.